At DuroVac, we have a brand promise where we want to make your entire team happy. Our famously tough vacuums will make your entire team happy. Part of making your entire team happy is understanding your application. We've narrowed it down to asking 8 simple questions. The single most important question, and gives us the most information, is what are we trying to vacuum up? The material. That material description gives us so much information. Any special characteristics, if it's combustible, if it's abrasive, obviously what is the density of the material. We have to be able to maintain proper carrying velocities, so the heavier the material, the more horsepower we know we're going to need. If it's a light and fluffy material, that's also very critical to know, because that determines the type of filtration we're going to use. Is the material combustible? That's a key thing, is we want the system not only to be efficient, but we want it to be safe. Just this one question gives us so much information. Another very important question that we ask is, what's the scene look like? We're talking about how much material are we dealing with? Is it just a small, thin, layer, like a 1/4 inch? We would consider that like light housekeeping. Is it a 1/2 inch covering of the entire floor? We would consider that like heavy housekeeping. Or are we dealing with small piles? Like if it's a small pile up to your ankle, that's one thing. But if it's a pile that's up to your waist or to your neck, well, that's a whole nother thing. By getting the type of scene that the customer is dealing with, that goes a long way in picking the right solution for that customer. Another question is this going to be portable, or is it going to be a central vacuum? So we have different solutions in both areas. If portability is a key thing, then we're definitely not going to be quoting a central vac. And if it's going to be stationary, then we have a lot of choices there as well, whether it be one of our portables that we turn into a central vac by making it stationary, or it's a full-blown central vac that we design as a stationary solution from the beginning. Another question that is part of this is the length of hose. So do we want to use a 25 or a 50-foot hose? And also, when we talk about the hose, we also want to know what diameter. Light housekeeping, we're generally going to recommend 1.5 inches. Heavy housekeeping, we may get into a 2-inch hose. And then if we're dealing with those piles that are up to your waist or up to your neck, that's when we bring out the much bigger hoses, 2.5, 3, 4, maybe even 5 or 6 inch. Another important question that we ask, and what is the furthest point? We want to know the furthest point that you're going to be doing cleanup in location to the vacuum. The furthest point is generally referring to central vacs. So if it's 300 feet on the other side of the plant, we take that into consideration for calculation. Another very important question, again, this is more related to central vacs, is the number of users. Number of users is very critical in the overall design of the plant. We're not talking about the number of drops, which is how many pickup locations we're going to have. This is referring to the actual number of simultaneous users that are using the system at one time. This determines how much air we need in the system, the size of the blower. Other than the type of material, this is, again, probably the single most critical thing to be accurate on, because a lot of customers will have it in their mind is like, I want it to be 10 active users, but is there really going to be 10 active users at one time? Realistically, it might be closer to 4 or 5. And so it's really important to find out what they really need, because the cost of a 10 user system is going to be much more expensive than a 4 to 5 user system. Another important question that we need to consider is, where are we going to collect the material in? Do we want to collect it in a hopper? Do we want to collect it in a super sack? Some people want to collect it actually right back into their system. They might be a conveyor belt that we discharge the material right onto. Again, those are all very important things to determine an impact on the design of the system. Is the system going to be inside or outside? If we're in extreme weather conditions, like if you're in northern Canada, if the unit is outside, that's very important to know, because we'll need to put heaters on it. Other areas where it could be important, if it's inside or outside, is related to NFPA compliance. Whether we're using a flameless vent that would be used for indoors, or we can use an explosion vent if it's outdoors. It's important to know if it's inside or outside, so we have all the correct options selected for you so that we can give you an optimized solution. Those 8 questions answered, we have most of what we need to give a good solution that's designed for their specific application.